Edmonton's path forward seems clear. They want to get bigger and meaner. And,
right. So hold up. Well, do you want to go to Edmonton now?
Why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about Warren Fogle.
Seemed like somebody who is a decent player, but just didn't fit in Ken Holland's current plans. Mm-hmm. It seemed like a good value add for the Hurricanes, and it was the only kind of addition that I looked at, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense that they made all day.
It was a good ad, and it was Warren Fogle was a good ad for Edmonton. But here's one I want to throw at you. Gabe Landeskog never made it to market. It was $7 million, right?
Oh, I love talking producer Drew through this.
Yeah,
so much.
And then Philip Grubauer, who did make it to market, $5.9 million a season. Now we know, and this is unfair to Edmonton, but it's the truth. We know that places like Edmonton and Winnipeg do struggle with attracting free agents.
It's true.
You know that. That is the truth.
It's true.
But remember that Edmonton has Connor McDavid, so that's attractive. Zach Hyman sure didn't have a problem signing there.
No.
But here's how you could have had a Grubauer-like contract. You could have tried to get Dougie Hamilton. You could have tried, like if Jersey spends $9 million on Hamilton and Edmonton spends $10 million on. Here's what Edmonton spent $20 million in cap space on this offseason so far. Duncan Keith, Zach Hyman, Tyson Barrie, Mike Smith, Cody Ceci. If you erased all of those names and just took a Dougie Hamilton, maybe he's not interested, I don't know. Or you took who else signed today that, got big money?
Tucker Poolman.
Right. Hamilton, he's also played in Calgary, right? So he knows what it's like to play in Western Canada and down the road. So he might have had an experience that he didn't want to go back.
Was bad.
One that he would.
He didn't like it.
See, the Flames stuck it to the Oilers.
in terms of just living there and playing in the city, maybe, I don't know. So, yeah, I'm guessing he had a preference.
But all the same, go ahead, Steve. Go ahead. Sorry.
You're not seeing something.
What am I not seeing?
Oilers are trying to dump Mikko Koskinen, and I have a great target.
Buffalo.
The team with literally no goalies. Buffalo said, I was talking to Dwayne today, and it was so good. He's like, bro, because my discovery, I've never seen this before. Literally never seen this before. The Buffalo Sabres cap-friendly page does not have a section for goalies because they have none. They have two reserve goalies. Was it Pekka Luukkonen? Mm-hmm. And also Dustin Tokarski. And so he's texting me. He's like, man, our goalies right now are Tokarski and Michael Hauser. Where I had to inform him, actually, Michael Hauser is a free agent. They don't have a goalie. We already know they're willing to take on a player who's a reclamation project with a sweetener. They did that with Will Butcher and the New Jersey Devils. If I'm the Oilers, I go, what's it going to take? Hey, I got that second round pick I never gave Kyle. Here's Mikko Koskinen and this, and you don't need to give me anything back. Thank you very much. And I go out and I get a much better goalie, and we have a Merry Christmas.
Well, it's a big question mark, right?
It is. It's certainly
and it's also sort of a big question mark about what Edmonton is actually doing. Mm-hmm. You'll go to 3.25 on Cody Ceci, who had a good year in Pittsburgh, but I'm still a little sus on because for years in Ottawa and then a year in Toronto, he wasn't good.
Also, the 4 years for
4 years on Cody Ceci. Yeah,
that's a lot to ask him to maintain that 3.25 value for 4
I thought it was 3.
No, it's 4 years. I'm looking at
4
right
years.
now.
Barry was 2 years at 4.5.
That's a lot for a guy who has had one good year, one half season in Pittsburgh. That was really good.
They needed a right hand shot. Something
they had one,
but they traded Bear. I don't think CC is. Here's how hockey men view him. All right, so this is why the decision was made. They know what Barry is. They're not dumb. They got to see him. He can score, cannot defend. Hockey people around the NHL view CC as a defensive specialist. They do. They see his numbers where he's getting caved in, and they're like, well, that's because he's only thrust into defensive situations. And I'm just telling you, I never played in the NHL. I never played in house league, but from my novice eye, No. The numbers were right, man. The defense isn't very good. And this is what I said earlier. Like you can have specialists. You can have a specialist like Barry. To have both. What about the 2019-20 Leafs defense made you go, give me that. It's now they got 2/3 of that team's right side.
The two parts that were the worst parts.
Yeah.
Bro, what are you doing? I don't understand that. I do think there are parts of that team that were improved. Hyman's going to make them better. But
oh yeah, that's going to be fun to watch. By the way, Draisaitl, Hyman, McDavid. That'll be a terrifying line.
Yes, yeah, and like, the Oilers, they need a few stops, obviously, but they're a little bit of pushback away from just being unstoppable. You can't stop Connor McDavid. You can't unless you break the rules.
My thing is this. There's a couple problems I have here. They were close on Adam Larson, and then he signed with, I think it was the Kraken for the same amount that the Oilers offered him. If I knew that Adam Larson was going to walk to the Kraken and that he didn't feel quite comfortable in Edmonton, I would try to figure out how to keep him and offer him $500,000 more because who cares? I would take Adam Larson at 4.5 over Cody Ceci at 3.125. No question, of over 4 years. And I think everybody else would too. And so they you lose Larson, who is actually put it together in Edmonton. And you have to bring in Cody Ceci, who, as Jesse rightly pointed out, had one good half season.
He was surprisingly good.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly good for one good half season.
Yeah, we can't knock his play in Pittsburgh. He played in the correct role in their lineup, and it worked out for $1.2 million, I think he was making last year.
And the Oilers just trade Ethan Bear. And it's not that Warren Fogel's not a value play, but when I read you the quote about why they traded Ethan Bear, I think you'll find this interesting. Because Ethan Bear is a right shot defenseman, is he not?
I believe so.
According to Oilers Nation, quote.
Oh, yeah.
He wanted to come join us here in Edmonton. This is Holland on CC. He played very well in Pittsburgh this year, 27 years of age. And so we made the deal. Once we made the decision to sign Cody and re-sign Barry, I didn't want to go with 4 right shot defensemen. So that was the reasoning. Now, if Ethan Bear is a 5'6" guy and right shot defensemen are pretty valuable, seems like an odd thing to do. Why not just keep them?
Okay, you got to pay a premium for right-hand shot defensemen, but you're also forgetting you got to pay a premium for guys who are over 6 feet tall, which Warren Fogel is. He's 6'2", which Jesse calls small, but the rest of us,
still shorter than me,
call very tall. All right, I don't know. I disagree with their moves.
Now, are the Oilers going to make the playoffs? Yeah, for sure.
They don't even need to be good, to make the playoffs. They really don't.
No, it's not a great division.
No, that's not even what I meant. They can coast their way to regular season success. McDavid and Draisaitl are that good, and Hyman's going to make them better.
The thing that people are like, oh, I hope you go in on the Oilers. The thing I'm waiting for, because we've gone in on the Duncan Keith thing, we've gone the Tyson Barrie thing. He seems to have found a home there. They seem to like it. Whatever. Cody Ceci, my thoughts. The one thing I'm going to hold judgment for is I'm waiting for them to figure out their goaltending. Who is playing goal for you other than Mike Smith?
They're obviously during the show, they lost a bidding war to Colorado. So
for Darcy Kemper.
Yeah, to me, incomplete project. They're not going into the season with Mikko Koskinen. They're not.
And they're going to give them away, and that's going to free up $4.5 million. That seems like such an easy move by Ken Holland. You do the future considerations. Maybe you throw in the draft pick, whatever. You get something back. It's just funny. But the $4.5 million in cap space is what you want. And that's going to be able to get you a decent goalie.
Yep.
It can be done.
Yeah. It can be done.
Because Alex Stalock's not your backup right now. It's not Stalock and Smith. You're not walking to the regular season with that.
Listen. We said last year they can't go into the season with Koskinen and Smith, and they did. Smith played well.
And it worked.
Yeah. It worked. Till the first round, but it worked.
Mm-hmm.